before Amazon Prime took over our lives, before you could buy socks, a sofa, and sushi all in one supermarket trip. There was another world, a world of Woolworths pick and mix, of queuing up at our price for your favorite CD, and of walking into a shop just to have a browse. If you grew up in the UK in the 1990s, you'll remember these stores, not just for what they sold, but for how they made you feel. Today, we're walking down the high street of Memory Lane and opening the doors to 10 iconic UK shops from the 90s that sadly don't exist anymore. Let's see how many you remember and how many you completely forgot. Let's start with the big one. Woolworths wasn't just a shop, it was a British institution. You could buy a school shirt, a video game, a frying pan, and a bag of fizzy cola bottles, all under one roof. The pick and mix was legendary. And let's not forget the seasonal aisles. Christmas lights, Halloween costumes, garden furniture, it had it all. By the late 2000s, Woolies was struggling. The rise of supermarkets and online shopping chipped away at its profits. And in 2008, after almost 100 years on the high street, it closed all its doors. Still hurts, doesn't it? Before Spotify and Apple Music, finding your favorite song meant one thing: heading to our price. You'd flick through racks of cassettes and CDs, read the album booklets, and maybe even argue with a staff member about which Oasis album was better. It was loud, it was moody, and it was cool. But like many music stores, it couldn't survive the MP3 revolution. By 2004, our price was gone, replaced by downloads, streaming, and the slow death of physical media. C&A was your mum's favorite store, and secretly yours too. Known for affordable clothing that somehow always smelled a little weird, C&A was a fixture of many British high streets. But in 2001, it packed up and left the UK market entirely, retreating back to Europe. Today, you can still shop at C&A in Germany, the Netherlands, and even Romania. But not in Britain. Not anymore. Before Currys and PC World dominated, there was Tandy. Tandy sold all things tech: radios, cables, DIY electronics, early mobile phones, and computer parts. It was like a Maplin before Maplin. Kids would go in just to play with the display keyboards or fiddle with the remote control cars. But as the tech world changed rapidly, Tandy couldn't keep up and vanished in the early 2000s. Way before Aldi and Lidl became trendy, there was Quick Save, the original, no-nonsense, low-price supermarket. The layout was chaotic, the branding was basic, and the own-brand products were very questionable. But it was cheap, and during the 1990s, that was enough. Quick Save collapsed in the 2000s after being unable to compete with the flashier, cleaner rivals. A few stores tried to survive, but the chain eventually disappeared. Remember that famous poster of the muscular man holding a baby? That was Athena. If you were a teenager in the 90s, you probably had one of their art prints, motivational quotes, or giant Spice Girls posters on your wall. It was a teenage rite of passage. But as the internet made posters and art more accessible, and bedroom decor shifted to fairy lights and Pinterest vibes, Athena faded out of relevance and closed for good. Long before the Apple Store existed, Dixon's was where you went for anything electronic. Cameras, TVs, stereo systems, and the latest Nokia phone. They had it all. Walking into a Dixon's felt like stepping into the future, even if that future ran on AA batteries. Dixon's merged with Currys in the mid-2000s and eventually disappeared from high streets entirely. Everyone remembers Argos. But do you remember Index? It was Argos's forgotten cousin, another catalog-based shop where you'd flick through laminated pages and fill out your order slip. The main difference? Index was always a little less organized and a little less popular. Eventually, Argos outlasted it, and Index was phased out quietly in the early 2000s. Dolcis was the go-to shoe store if you wanted something a bit glam without breaking the bank. Glittery sandals, chunky heels, and those clacky back-to-school loafers you either loved or hated. But like many fashion-forward high street chains, Dolcis couldn't survive the 2008 financial crisis. It filed for administration, and most stores were closed by 2009. Every British teenage girl in the 90s walked into Etam at least once, usually to buy lip gloss, a top for under £10, or just to browse with friends. It was the perfect mix of trendy and affordable. Eventually merged with Tammy Girl and then absorbed into larger retail groups, Etam quietly vanished from the UK by the mid-2000s. These shops weren't just places to spend money, they were part of growing up. Meeting friends in Woolworths after school, trying on shoes at Dolcis, spending ages choosing the right CD at our price. They were experiences, little rituals that shaped our childhoods and teenage years. Today's shopping is fast, faceless, and delivered in a cardboard box. But back then, shopping was an event. So here's to the stores we lost, but never forgot. How many of these do you remember? Did you work at one of them? Or maybe spent your pocket money in them every week? Drop a comment with your favorite memory, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with someone who still remembers the smell of Woolies Pick and Mix. Let's keep the nostalgia alive, one memory at a time.